I am a 33 years old female. My older brother, Dan, 36 years old. Dan and I never had the closest relationship even when we were kids. I cannot exactly pinpoint why, but it was just the way it was. Our mom was a single mother, and our dad was in prison serving a long sentence, and only got out when I was 17 and Dan was 20. When we were kids, our mom was working 2 jobs as a housekeeper and as a school lunch lady to make ends meet. We were really broke. As soon as I turned 16, I got a job working in retail to contribute to the household and hopefully save up for university. I was starting to save up quite a sizable amount of money after a year. In that same year, Dan got one of his co-workers pregnant. Shortly after she gave birth, she was hospitalized multiple times with postpartum psychosis and eventually lost all custody of the baby. Dan took custody, and so it was me, our mom, Dan and the baby in a 2-bedroom flat. It was feeling a bit crowded and cluttered, and Dan vented to me many times about how he needs to get his own place. Dan was really struggling for money. He was working a minimum wage job and had all the baby expenses to worry about. When I was 17, Dan stole my debit card and bank details and withdrew all of my savings, which was around £2,000. He put my debit card back in my wallet and then left the house with the baby and moved in with his new girlfriend. I felt so betrayed that he would just take something that I worked so hard for. My mom told me I was forbidden from going to the police about it and told me to just let it go, as Dan is struggling and needed it. When I was old enough to go to university, my dad gave me money to go towards my expenses. I had not spoken to Dan since that day, and Dan never attempted to speak to me either. Last week my mom tried to sneakily get me and Dan to meet up under the guise that we were just getting a normal dinner at a restaurant and he was in on it. I told them that I do not want to see Dan. Dan told me I need to grow up and I cannot hold a grudge over this forever. It was such a long time ago and he was young and desperate, and he's still my brother. He said it's only money and I shouldn't be so materialistic. I told him it's the principle of it, that I'm his little sister and he stole something significant from me. He said I'm dramatizing the situation and that he was in a rough patch, and surely I could understand why he did it. No one in the family is on my side here except my dad, and I'm wondering if I really am being so wrong and so cold-hearted.